Hello and welcome back Baku Crew, Brawlers, and anyone else joining us. I'm your host, BakuBrad96, and this is the second game of the Rarity series, Aquos vs. Ventus. Before the brawl begins, here's a news update. 76% of you watching are not subscribed, and with a total of 489 subscribers, it's more important than ever to show your support for the channel. Let's hit 500 subscribers together and grow the Baku Crew into a serious part of the Bakugan community. With that in mind, it's time to get this brawl underway. I am maining Apofix, and my opponent is maining Maxitar. Now, my opponent did miss that first brawl, and I love it when that happens because I get in a clear shot of damage the very first turn. So I did land on the Magic Shield, which is going to give me a plus 650B boost, but it doesn't matter because the 6 damage is coming straight in. I even managed to hit 2 of my opponent's Evo cards there for Maxitar, which was really epic. While preparing for turn 2, I do want to remind everyone that the dice are there to represent the energy cards that we have played. Obviously, my camera doesn't show the full field, our decks, or the energy card pile. So going into turn 2, we are both going to playing energy. I will be rolling Sharktar, and my opponent will be rolling Serpilius. Very good, just getting everything going. I'm going to try the traditional roll. My opponent, their signature spin. Sharktar misses, but Serpilius does hit a green fist, which is going to be scary getting that buff there. One thing that saves me is Sharktar does have built-in reroll, so I get a second chance, and I fail it like a complete and total loser. How do you miss a Bakugan with reroll? Moving on though, Serpilius is going to be hitting in with, I do believe, 4 damage. The 1 damage from itself, and then it landed on a plus 3 green fist core. Obviously nothing I can play on turn 2, so I just have to take the damage, and there went my Evo card for Sharktar. So I guess my opponent gave me a little payback there. We're both hitting the Evo cards out of our respective decks. Going into turn 3, we've both won 1 brawl so far, so there's no team attack scare, and that is really nice. But I do quickly want to sidetrack everyone and say, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss part 2, because this is a best 2 out of 3 game. Now I will be rolling Hydronoid, and my opponent will be rolling Harperion. Once again, the same rolling techniques. Hydronoid waits there for a second, there is a hesitation, and the pop. Really cool. My opponent just landed straight on Harperion. The good news is my opponent hit their own Trap Core, a minus 300 B power, and since Harperion only has 300, that is going to be a B power total of 0. Hydronoid, when on a green fist, does get an extra 200, which means my Hydronoid is at 900 B power, and I've got this turn in the bag. Not only that, but I did hit a green fist that's plus 3, so a good bit of damage coming in here. My opponent has nothing to play and concedes. By the way, we did both play an energy for turn 3. And here comes the damage. All 4. That is the only thing about the Ventus deck, and that might be edited as the series continues. There are no flip cards, so if Ventus doesn't win the brawl, it's going to take the damage. Likewise, the Aquos deck, if any of you watch the profile, only has 3 flip cards. So both of these decks are really limited on ways of stopping their damage. Now going into turn 4, we're back on our mains, or the first Bakugan used. We both play an energy. It's Apofix against Maxitar. Maxitar misses again. My opponent is just not feeling it, I guess. But Sharktar does land on a green fist. And this is going to be the team attack. A sizable team attack here. It is 6, and 4 is going to be 10. And then another 5. I do believe that's going to be 15 or something of the sort. But yes, my opponent is going to drop a paralyzing potion for 4 energy and take 7 of that away, leaving what I do believe is 8 damage to be taken. And there's my opponent's 3rd Evo card for Maxitar. I won't have to worry about an Evo this game. But that was a decent enough team attack, even with 7 gone. I feel like 8 damage puts a lot of pressure on my opponent, especially after taking that 6 damage on turn 1. Apophix or Apophix, however you wish to pronounce it, because my pronunciation skills are awful, is just a stellar Bakugan. I really like it. I really like the double magic shield. It's really strong. I'm thinking about making a Aquos Darkest team using Apophix and Darkest Blitzfox, just because it would be a team with 4 magic shields. I'm not sure what the third Bakugan would be, but it's just a thought. Back to this game, and that is what is important though. This is going to be turn 5. My opponent and I are both going to be playing an energy. Before we roll, I am going to be using that 5 energy to play a Shun Bakugan Brawler that is going to be a hero for 5 energy. It is going to give all of my Bakugan plus 200 B power. So, just a little buff there. Here I am in Apophix again, my opponent Harperion. Now I do try a spin shoot and it works out great. As you can see, Apophix did double core, which is stellar. My opponent's Harperion did open as well. Now Harperion only has 300 B power, but because I hit the 650, I am going to have 1150 B power. I don't see what my opponent can do, but the Ventus deck is all about taking B power away. Here, for 1 energy, my opponent uses a G-Force drop. It is going to take 300 B power away and scan. So there was the card scanned. I do believe that is going to go on the bottom. Doesn't look like my opponent is done yet. It's going to drop an Eviscerator Strike next for another 1 energy. This is also going to be taking minus 300 away. Not only 1, going to play 2. So now we're at 3 energy with minus 900 B power total. Going to keep going, another 2 energy for a Ventus Shield, minus 200. So that is now minus 1100 B power. I have 50 B power and my opponent is at 300. I used my energy at the beginning of the turn to play the hero card, so I have no response. I lose. Surprisingly, it took my opponent's entire hand, but they won it. Now then, I think it's going to be 9 damage coming in. Yes, so there was 9 damage taken, Diamond Stingzer's gone, both of my Sneaky Squid flip cards. And when Harperion wins, you do get to scan there, so my opponent was scanning that. That card was left on top of the deck. I have no idea what they were, I just know where the placement is. Can't believe I fumbled that turn 5. I probably shouldn't have played the hero at the start of the game, but I was overconfident, and when you are, you misplay. So going into turn 6, I play an energy, my opponent is going to choose not to. I'm rolling Sharktar, my opponent Maxitar. I'm doing a Marble Flick and so is my opponent, so a little different. Even though Sharktar was blocked, it did circle back to get that green fist. One thing that's great about this arena is it seems to help the Bakugan in their movement, with spinning and just rolling in general. But my opponent has nothing to play and going to be taking the full 5 damage. Now I would say this game is really close, or if you would think I might have a slight lead, but so far a pretty good match. Now then, up next is going to be turn 7. I am dropping an energy once again, and so is my opponent now, so my opponent is at 6 energy, I am at 7, my opponent did miss an energy play. I'm back on Hydronoid, my opponent still rolling Maxitar for that team attack. And just barely missed it. Meanwhile, Hydronoid is showing off with those epic jumps on camera. Now since my opponent didn't open, the damage is going to go through here. But Hydronoid only has 1 damage, so my opponent can afford to take that attack. Moving along into the next round after a little prep here. I will be playing another energy, so that is 8 energy. My opponent is not, so they're still sitting at 6. Somewhat of a longer game, I'd say. Here I am doing a marble shoot, my opponent's signature spin. It is going to miss it once again, and Apophix is just going to land every single time for me. I'm telling you all, what an epic Bakugan. And this is going to be the second team attack for game. That wraps up part 1. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow to see if Ventus will make a comeback in part 2. Thank you all for watching, stay safe wherever you're at in the world, and know that I appreciate your support.